Have you ever heard of the Japanese Messi? He played for Barcelona and Real Madrid. He is 5'0" and this season has been one of the best performing players in European football. But his rise to the top wasn't quick or easy. From Japan to La Masia, back to Japan to Madrid and all over Spain, this is how Takefusa Kubo finally became the Japanese Messi. Take Kubo fell in love with football at a young age. He joined his first club at just 7 years old and played for several local clubs until his life changed in 2015. At just 8 years old, Kubo was MVP of a Barca youth camp, and by 2010, he was making waves internationally, winning another MVP award at a European Youth Cup in Belgium.
Another one.
Kubo's performances were noticed by Barca scouts, and before he knew it, he was on the next flight to Barcelona for a trial at La Masia Academy. Surprise, surprise, Kubo impressed at the trial and signed with Barcelona. And Kubo wasted no time showing what he can do. During the 2012-13 season, Kubo was the top scorer and scored 76 goals in 30 games. His partner in crime was guess who? Ansu Fati, who also scored 56 goals that season. And as fate would have it, this young duo, who were destroying the youth ranks in Spain, would become rivals instead of teammates. Not only did they play for rival clubs, but even faced off against each other in the 2022 FIFA World Cup. How did this happen? Because Kubo was one of many young Barca players that had to leave when the club got caught breaking FIFA's rules regarding young foreign players. Ansu Fati and Xavi Simons were able to stay, but guys like Kubo and Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana, they had to leave. And before you call him a snake, no, Kubo didn't go straight from Barca to Real Madrid. He's not Luis Figo. What Kubo did was return back to his home country of Japan and sign with FC Tokyo. While this was a major setback for Kubo, he quickly made history in his home country. On November 5th, 2016, he became the youngest player to ever play in the league at just 15 years old. But that's not the only record he broke. April 15th, 2017, Kubo became the youngest goal scorer in the history of the J-League with this famous goal. Kubo was so young he wasn't even old enough to sign a pro contract, but best believe Tokyo FC made him a pro as soon as he turned 16. The club decided that it would be best to send Kubo out on loan, so he joined Japanese club Yokohama Marino with the idea of gaining experience and playing regularly. Because in his first game against Vissel Kobe, the Japanese team that Andres Iniesta played for, Kubo did this. Not long after, Kubo returned to FC Tokyo and became a regular starter. Kubo played 13 times during the 2018-19 season. He scored 5 goals and had 4 assists. Remember, he was 17 years old. While Barca had been closely monitoring Kubo since he left the club, bringing him back wasn't going to be easy, as other big clubs like Man City and PSG were trying to sign the young player. Still, Barca were the favourites, and just as it seemed that Kubo was returning to Barca, he changed his mind at the last minute and instead signed with their arch rivals Real Madrid. Now when Real Madrid signed Kubo, he was never going to play right away. This was near enough prime Real Madrid, who had won 3 Champions League titles in a row. The original plan was to send Kubo to the B team and play professionally in the lower divisions. What they quickly realised was Kubo was way better than they thought. He was heavily featured during pre-season tours and went viral after his debut performance against Bayern Munich. His pre-season highlights were spectacular. He was gliding past defenders and creating chances for his teammates. He even earned a call-up to Japan's squad for the Copa America in 2019. Fans were excited, and Kubo was proving in training sessions that he could hold his own. So instead of sending him to Castilla or have him waste away on the bench, Take Kubo was loaned to Mallorca, a newly promoted La Liga side. This would allow Kubo to further showcase his abilities as a key player on a relegation team, while also allowing him to develop and familiarise himself with the Spanish game, all without the pressure that comes with being a Real Madrid player. At Mallorca, Kubo became just the 3rd Japanese player in club's history. September 1st, 2019, he made his La Liga debut coming off the bench against Valencia. Not only did he win a penalty for his team, but he also broke the record, becoming the youngest Japanese player to ever play in a top 4 European League match. November 10th, 2019, in a win against Villarreal, Kubo scored his first La Liga goal. Let's watch it.
For Kubo. Kubo shoots!
For the rest of the season, Kubo scored just another 3 goals. One came in a draw against Betis, the other in wins over Eibar and Levante. In 35 games with Mallorca, Kubo scored 4 goals and had 5 assists. No, he didn't burst onto the scene like R9, but it was a promising first season. Unfortunately, Mallorca were relegated, and Madrid wanted to keep Kubo in La Liga. Instead of sending him to another relegation team, Madrid decided to test him, sending Kubo to Villarreal, one of the biggest clubs in the country, who had just finished 5th in La Liga the season before. Villarreal were a good team. They actually won the Europa League that season, defeating Man United in the final. Kubo featured 5 times in the group stage and scored this goal.
Takefusa Kubo has his first Villarreal goal.
Unfortunately, he wasn't there to lift the trophy because apart from that goal, this loan spell was a disaster. Kubo didn't play 90 minutes one time. He never scored in the league and even got sent off against Valencia. Real Madrid were not happy with the situation. In early January, his loan was cut short. They kept him in Madrid and sent him to Getafe for the rest of the season, the same club Mason Greenwood currently plays for. Things weren't much better there either, and this goal right here was Kubo's only goal in the 2020-21 season. It was a disappointing season for Kubo, with just 2 goals in 31 appearances. Real Madrid were beginning to lose hope until the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, when Kubo led home nation Japan to the semi-final, scoring 3 goals in the tournament, including this late winner against South Africa.
Kubo will take it himself and score.
For the 2021-22 season, Real Madrid decided to send Kubo back to Mallorca. They had just been promoted back to La Liga and it seemed like the perfect situation for Kubo to continue his development. Well, that was wrong. Kubo's second stint with Mallorca was disappointing. He scored 1 goal in 28 appearances. However, that 1 goal was special.
Rodriguez slips the ball through the legs of Yano Black.
It came away from home against Diego Simeone's Atletico Madrid. As a sub, in stoppage time, Kubo silenced the stadium. But one great moment doesn't make up for a disappointing season. Kubo was 21 years old and he hadn't shown much improvement from his first loan spell at Mallorca. He was a talented player but really struggled to impact games with end product. Real Madrid were champions of Europe. They had youngsters like Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo producing the goods in the Champions League. Kubo was nowhere near those guys and they were all about the same age. So in summer 2022, Real Madrid decided to move on and sold Takefusa Kubo. He left after 4 years without ever playing a game for the first team. July 19th, 2022, Takefusa Kubo signed with Real Sociedad for €7.5 million. He became the first Japanese player in club's history. Now this was a good move. Real Sociedad was the same club credited for saving Martin Odegaard's career, another prodigy at Madrid who after spending his early years on loan, turned his career around and is now the captain and star player of Arsenal. Kubo made his debut for Sociedad against Cadiz and introduced himself to fans in real style. A few weeks later, Kubo was a part of one of the club's greatest ever results, when Real Sociedad defeated Manchester United at Old Trafford. Yes, Cristiano Ronaldo was playing. Kubo had started the season well, and was chosen to be a part of Japan's squad at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Kubo started in both famous wins over Germany and Spain, helping his country win the group. Unfortunately, he didn't play in the last 16 against Croatia, and Japan's World Cup dream ended in a heartbreaking penalty shootout. After the World Cup, Kubo came back playing some of the best football of his career. From January to June, Kubo scored 7 goals in 23 games. He finished the season with 18 goal contributions in 44 appearances. Oh, he also got revenge against the club that gave up on him. I think you can tell Kubo enjoyed that one. In April 2023, Kubo broke the record for most goals scored by a Japanese player in a single La Liga season. He did so, scoring this goal against Getafe, another one of his former clubs. Kubo's first season at Real Sociedad was a promising one. He'd finally added some end product to his game and helped his new club finish top 4 and qualify for the Champions League. Now fast forward to the 2023-24 season. season, and Takefusa Kubo is becoming a star. He kicked off the season in fine form, scoring 5 goals in the opening 7 matches, including a brace against Granada and this goal against league leaders Girona. Oh, and how could I forget when Kubo scored this goal against Bilbao in the Basque Derby and celebrated like this. In September, Kubo was voted La Liga Player of the Month, which by the way is some accomplishment, considering the way Jude Bellingham has been performing this season. That just goes to show how good Kubo has been. In the UEFA Champions League, Kubo has started 5 of Sociedad's 6 games, and despite sharing a group with last year's finalists Inter Milan, big clubs Benfica and Salzburg, Real Sociedad went undefeated, won the group, and qualified for the last 16. By the way, Kubo was man of the match in their win against Benfica. So overall, life at Sociedad has been great for Kubo so far. He scored 6 goals already, his team are pushing for top 4 again, and have qualified for the knockout stages of the Champions League. Takefusa Kubo has got his career back on track. This was a guy who was rotting away on loan, playing for relegation clubs and barely making an impact. Now, he's a star player for one of the biggest clubs in Spain and is making noise on the European stage. Remember, Kubo is still only 22 years old. This could just be the beginning of his prime. It's been rumoured that he's valued around 50 million euros in the transfer market, and clubs like Man United, Arsenal, and even Real Madrid are apparently interested in signing him. If Kubo continues to perform, joins a bigger club, and becomes a top player, maybe, just maybe, after everything he's been through, he might just live up to the Japanese Messi title after all. If you're still here, you've obviously enjoyed, so click that big red button, subscribe to the channel, check out our last video on Ansu Fati if you haven't already, and let me know what player you want to see covered next.